and welcome to 3Q the Artist, the podcast designed to go beyond the typical artist interview by asking 3 questions in just 15 minutes. I'm your host, Rachel Vogel, and joining me tonight is songwriter and artist Liana Banks. Born in Manhattan and raised in Queens, she grew up surrounded by a family of gifted singers and musicians. Her house was filled with the sounds of Nina Simone, Bill Withers, and James Brown. Later on, icons like Lauryn Hill, Biggie Smalls, and Missy Elliot became some of her major influences. And while still in high school, she started writing and recording sessions, and pretty soon she was doing the writing herself. Within a short time, she was working with top producers and penning songs for artists. It wasn't long before she moved from behind the scenes and began her solo career with her debut EP, Insubordinate, landing multiple Best of the Year and Artist to Watch lists. Meanwhile, she's continued to be an in-demand songwriter with current and upcoming releases by Demi Lovato, Bebe Rexha, Latto, Anitta, and more. And her new EP titled Apartment 210 will be released later this year on UnitedMasters. So with all that said, Liana, that is quite the list of accomplishments. Very impressive. With that, are you ready to dive into the first question?
Let's do it.
I've heard many artists say, I am my music and my music is me. So what does that statement mean to you?
For me, that means that like your music is an extension of the artist that created it. I think that's kind of what art is for musicians. It's like your shadow, but in song form. Kind of like you're wearing like your insides on the outside.
That's a great way of putting it. So I'm curious, like when you sit down to write a song, what are like the 3 essential things that you need to have done that day or you need to prepare for before you write a song? Or does it just come naturally?
To be honest, it kind of comes, for me, it's a little chaotic. It comes when it comes. I have to like stop. I could be in the middle of something. I'm like, hold on, I have to lay a voice note, or I have to like write down whatever concept. Before I got on here, I just wrote down like these 2 concepts that came to my mind. So it's like whenever it's sent to me, I take it, I receive it, and I act on it. Otherwise, I'll just forget it.
And what kind of advice would you give for other artists or songwriters that are just starting to pivot into writing with other artists?
I would say learn to step outside of yourself and your thought patterns, your processes, and learn to I think you have to just know how to help other people tell their story and kind of remove yourself or how you would do it from the equation sometimes, and just cater more to them and their artistry.
Do you remember the first time that you walked into a session with another artist?
Yeah.
What were you feeling? I'm sure you were nervous or excited or both.
I think I didn't understand how it went. I was still so much like in me zone and like just like, oh, I'm gonna do me, and then they're just gonna love it. And they did love it, but I feel like when an artist is, if it doesn't resonate with them, it doesn't feel personal, it kind of just, it does a disservice to them. So now I have a whole process where like we sit down, we talk, like what's going on in your life? What do you want to talk about? What are you feeling? It's almost like a therapy session, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. A free therapy session.
You gotta love that. Everyone could use one of those. Moving along, every industry has its dirty little secrets, and they can be both positive and negative. So, what's one secret that you would like to share about the music industry?
I don't know how much of a secret it is, but people seem to be really shocked when I tell them this. But songwriters do not get paid by major labels and major label artists. They also aren't given points, even though they create the part of the song that like people sing back at concerts and walk down the aisle to in a shopping mall or listen to on the radio. For whatever reason, they just don't receive it, and they're called difficult if they ask for a point or anything after literally working for free.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I don't know, like after they deliver those songs that they're not compensated for some reason they set it up where the artist is going to ask for a percentage of the writer share of the royalty of the publishing, as opposed to taking it off the top from both ends. It's like literal madness.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and also A&Rs don't be A&R like they say they do.
And All right. Well, here we are already at the last question. So today you are 28 years old. Now imagine that you're 75 years old and you are being interviewed for a retrospective on your career and your life in general and where you are now. What would you hope to be able to say about each?
I would hope to be able to say that I lived. Like I would love also to be able to say that I made like some kind of positive impact on the world in whatever way possible. I think somebody that I look to for that is Shaq. I feel like he does every and anything that he wants to. Like he wakes up and he's like, I want to be a genie one day. I'm gonna play a genie. I'm gonna be in the NBA. I'm doing that. I'm gonna own Krispy Kremes, Papa John's. This like he literally just does all of these random things, and I feel like he's just living his life and having the best time possible. And we should all live that way. And yeah, I think we're born limitless, and the world has a weird way of like convincing us that we're not. And I
Mhm.
just want to limitlessly. That's how I want to live.
That's a great way to live. So before we close it out, I have to know what is coming up. Tell us what's coming next, if you can share anything. Besides, we said in the beginning you have a project coming. Anything aside from that, or anything you want to tell the people about that project?
Yeah, I I have a really cool feature on the project that I'm super excited about, and it's somebody that I got to work with on the as a writer as well. So it's kind of cool to like be able to jump on this side of artistry with them. And also, I would also like to say that I I don't know if it's gonna be on this album though, but I have a song talking about a topic that I couldn't talk about for 10 years. I tried to write a song about it, and I finally recently was able to like
Mhm.
make like words. So I'm excited, but also scared as hell to like release that.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing it. And as we close out tonight's episode, thank you again, Liana, for joining me and taking the time to provide our listeners with a little insight into your world. And to everyone listening, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode just as much as I did. Check out Liana Bank's latest hits on Spotify at the link below. And stay tuned for next week of 3Q the Artist, the podcast designed to go beyond the typical artist interview by asking 3 questions in just 15 minutes. See you next time.